So are you gonna have a metal detector or something, or?
I've got a metal detector right now. I'm gonna start. I'll use it.
Well, if you know where the graves are, there would probably be a bullet in them graves.
Yeah. I'm not sure how far down this metal detector will work, But anyway, the sheriff at the time, his son and Cody Carpenter, our county sheriff now, they were on duty out here, and got told short, they were just beginners, young people, and they were sent out here by Bowes. That's 30 miles from me, and they got to where this tree was across the road that they supposed to get out of the road, and said just as we got there, and there's a tree, this thing just hopped over this fence.
Really?
He said, I stopped, and he said, it looked at me. He said it was gray in color, not white, but gray. And he said it looked at me, and he says, I turned my lights, and it kept looking. He said, it took a step, and he said, I backed up a step. They were sitting in the car, sheriff's car. Him and Buck Byford's son, Steve, were just deputies at the time. And by gosh, backed in, and he says, by gosh, it just stood there at us. I said, how long? He said, shoot, good 45 seconds. He said, it just turned around. He said, it didn't touch the fence. It just jumped over. I said, how big a fence is? He said, hog wire and 2 barbs on top of it. He said, it just hopped over the fence and took off. He said, I hadn't said a word. He said, I looked over at Byford, and he said, did you see that? And he said, Bo Byford told me, yeah, that was a Bigfoot. Let's get out of here. He said, we came in, we told him, by gosh, you want that log moved, or that tree out that road out there, you go move it yourself. And I talked to Steve about it, and several of the deputies were around. I had an incident here a while back, and we were talking about it, and he said, yeah. He says, by gosh, Steve and Cody both has told us about their incidents with their creature.
You say it was a gray colored?
They said it was gray looking in color. He said it was tall. I said, well, how tall was it? He said, I don't know, at least 6.5 to 7 foot tall. They said it just jumped like it was jumping over a piece of rope or something. And Cody still, he became sheriff. This is 7th or 8th term sheriff.
Yeah, it's not likely he's telling a lie then if he's sheriff like that.
Yeah. But, I was in his office one day talking to him, and something was said, and I was asking him about things, and he said, are you talking about a Bigfoot? I said, yeah. And then he kind of jumped out of his seat a little bit right there. He said, do you believe in him? I said, yeah. He says, now you won't laugh, will you? I said, no. He says, Buck's son, Steve? And I said, yeah. He said, we seen one night. I mean, he got all excited. Said, tell me about it. But he didn't want to say anything, afraid somebody was going to laugh at him. But he had told his deputies, about it. And everything.
Well, where's that, up there in Arkansas where you're at?
Yeah, just south of Waldron over here.
Is that up near the mountains?
Yeah, that's all mountainous country.
Yeah.
Farmland, cattle,
Yeah, that's always been, sightings reported.
Yeah. Well, you're glad to have, how long could you stay?
Well, I mean, I guess I could stay as long as I need to stay, whatever, I just needed to, I had to plan for it.
Yeah.
That's well.
A guy who lives over here by Tulsa. He's wanting to go, but all he's wanting to be gone is 5 days. He said, that's all I can take off work. And I told him, I said,
well, when you don't have that, that much, many days, and you got to fly out there. You can't. It takes all your time driving.
Yeah.
I've driven it many times, but it's grueling.
Yeah.
I drove from Mississippi to Southern California in 2 days.
Yeah. Well, that's a hard driving.
It is.
Yeah.
It's round the clock driving.
Yeah. I used to be able to drive like that, but not anymore. Remember, I'm now 70.
It wears me out now,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't seem to be finding by that wants to go and be gone that long.
Well, I mean, it's like I was telling Don. Don, we were talking about it. Staying for a while is the key, really, to seeing something, because I mean, it's you kind of get in there and just kind of settle in, and watch your place, for a while. It may not happen overnight. It may take a week before you see anything, Well,
years ago, I was married at the time even. I used to take off, and my wife would say, how long are you going to go hunting? My wife should say, how long are you going to be gone? When I drive in, I'm home. And I've been gone as high as a month to 2 months over in Arizona. I'd load my horses and my dogs and go over there line hunting, get in a good spot, and then somebody tell me about some other ranch, but I can't get. I mainly stayed in with the cattlemen and the sheep association.
Yeah, they needed the line stand out.
Yeah, where they had them. But I'd be going, and she'd get mad about that. But she sure didn't get mad about that money, though.
They paid you pretty good to kill a lion?
Huh?
They pay you pretty good to kill one of them?
Oh yeah, in the 70s I got $1,000 a piece for them.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what did you do with the lion itself? Did you sell it or?
Yeah, usually, if the rancher, I charge him $1,000 or the kitchen game, I got $1,000, and then if he wanted to hide, that'd be another $350.
Yeah. Well, you can.
I could sell.
Hey, that's pretty good money for the 70s now.
Oh, I know it. Yeah. And everything. Well, Weyerhaeuser up there at Blue Lake, they used to pay me $350 for every bear, and then we had clients. And the clients killed the bear, and then I'd get Weyerhaeuser to pay me $350 for every one of those. So I'd get me $1,350.
That's pretty good. That bear hunting was pretty profitable too.
Well, I had a doctor, a retired doctor. He couldn't operate anymore. See, to run a guide service, unless you have EMS, or whatever you call it, medical training, in your group, a doctor with you, you can't have a license. You can't just go out here and go to hunting. And you got to have like a person that works on an ambulance. What do you call them? EMS?
Or EMT.
EMT or whatever they are. EMS is woman. Anyway, unless they got that. That's what Bill Bishop had, and he worked. And he'd go out and film, but as long as he was in camp. And then San Francisco had the people. I had people from Chicago, all over. I had people come in from Japan to go bear hunting. And we had a service that'd come and pick them up at the airport, bring them up there, then take the others back and with their bear hide. And they were
So you got $1,000 from your client and $350 from Weyerhaeuser.
From Weyerhaeuser, the lumber company.
I'll be doggone.
We killed 52 bears. The clients killed 52 bears that year from the second week of October. Bear season starts second week of October until Thanksgiving, second day after. And then we killed some more after that, too. Because bear season goes all the way into December. January. But we killed 52 bears. We were killing 4 to 5 bear a day. I had the Indians. See, I was the only one that was allowed, the only white man allowed to go on those reservations.
Why is that?
And hunt. Huh?
Why is that?
Because I gave them a little money.
Oh, okay.
Old Sonny Buck Ferris, which was the chief. See, they got the Hoopaw and the Wichipek Indians up there. And they all go under one chief, the 2 tribes. They've only got, and then, but Sonny's dad died. It's been several years ago. But Sonny worked for me and his 3 brothers. And they'd help me take care of the dogs. And then I had a cook, and we had people. And we also, well, it wasn't all profit. But we leased mobile travel trailers. And they'd bring them up, and they'd bring them up from Oakland and set them up for the clients to stay in. You know, they can sleep in them.
Yeah.
We had everything. It was, we made money, but and then Bill got a percentage of it. You know, he was my partner. And the reason why we quit, because his wife got to wanting to start dipping into the money too much.
Oh.
You know, and I told him about it, and he said, well, you know, more or less, if he don't like it, too bad, you know. I told him, I said, hey, I'm not going to put up with her taking $300, $400, $500 out of whack, out of the checking and do stuff with it. She's right out, you know. Of course, when we set her up that year, I took all of that out of his share, too, and that's it. So I quit guide servicing. Because I didn't have it. I couldn't hire anybody else. Couldn't find anybody that those kind of everything. So it was good though. We did that for about almost 20 years like that.
Well, let me ask you something. These guys that were down there hunting the Bigfoot, do you think that they were being paid by Weyerhaeuser to kill the Bigfoot the same like as they would a bear?
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them. You're talking about Gimbal and them?
Right.
No. I don't know. This is my idea. I think what happened was that, Walt Disney, see, Ivan March was still in with Walt Disney. And he's a big game enthusiast. He had put out several deals about these deals over in Africa and places, you know. And anyway, I think what happened that Walt Disney got him to go in there and do that. I think he was financing them. And if they find one, but Weyerhaeuser could have paid too, because at that same time, because I've asked around since, see, I wasn't really interested in it back in the 60s. So, but I've asked around since then, people, and Weyerhaeuser had a lot of equipment tore up there. And they claimed that it was not by humans, like stuff thrown down in canyons and different things turned over. And I told them, I said, well, big creature couldn't turn over. They even had one of those skidders. You know how big a skidder is? Yeah. They had a skidder turned over.
Really?
Yeah, one night or one morning they came to work and the skidder was turned over.
Darn.
And I told him, talking to the guy down there in Orleans, and he knew about it, and he, you know, all this. I told him, I says, there had to be that they might be strong, those Bigfoots, but it'd take, I'd say 8 or 10 of them to turn one of those big skidders over.
They must have had to been working together.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And just a man or whatever.
Well, if that was the case, then they might have been hunting them out of there just like they would a bear that was a problem.
Yeah. And this deal, what old Gimlin's telling them, we were just in there. But if you listen to this BFRO show where they have Gimlin supposedly on there, he said that they were doing research. If you ever see that again, watch what Gimlin said. I caught it the other night, and Mary caught it. We were doing research for the loggers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it was so quick that I don't think whoever was filming it or whoever edited it caught it. They were in there, you know.
I'll have to try to catch that one for sure.
Huh?
I'll have to try to catch that one again.
Yeah. If they have it on again, you know, they have it, they show it every once in a while. And listen, I mean, it's just a split-second conversation. But Gimlin stated that it was just him and Roger in there researching for the loggers.
Uh-huh.
You know, so I think that they were in there to now, another thing, I haven't seen it, but I understand, I don't know when it took place, but I understand someone it's supposed to came out of Canada. This is hearsay. I'm just repeating hearsay. It was told to me that there was someone had brought a white German Shepherd down there from Canada. I don't know if it was time of Patterson film or afterwards. Had you heard anything about that?
Well, it's on film, but I'm not, you know, I don't know everything there is to know about it.
Oh, it's on the film?
Yeah, it's not on. It's on another piece of film.
Yeah. Well, this is what I've heard.
John Green had that dog brought down there.
Yeah.
That was a bad dog too. That dog would run a Bigfoot.
Yeah. Well, I had bear dogs and I had gutty dogs, and part of them part bulldog, and they wouldn't run that sucker that day. In fact, one of them nearly ate me up trying to get her out from under the pickup.
Yeah, well, they just, you know, if they'll chase a bear, you know, they just got to be trained to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I don't know where I'm not honking the dog. I'm good, but I wonder where they had him to. Unless a dog. Now, I've seen dogs. It don't matter what you do. They'll chase anything you put them on. They're just crazy.
Well, in that film, there's a hide laying on the ground, and they bring that dog over and let that dog sniff that hide.
Yeah.
And then the dog.
What's the hide?
Yeah. So the dog takes off after he sniffs that hide. So they'd already killed one, and the hide was bloody. So you know, it wasn't very old.
Yeah. That's what we used to do. On young dogs, just be messing with them. We'd kill a bear, and I'd keep part of the hide, and I'd soak it in water, soak it whatever, and make a drag, and I'd let the dog smell the drag and teach them to run. Then I'd put them with the old dog, you know.
Well, that's what this one looked like. It looked like it had been in water. It had a little pool. It had a little bloody pool there, like somebody had had it in the creek. And they threw it out there on the land, on the sand, and it just drooled out with bloody water, you know, reddish looking water all around it.
I like to get with you and see those films.
Yeah, and then they bring that dog up there, and it's two guys. The dog handler has that dog in a full body harness.
Yeah.
And they bring him up there, and the other guy's toting a double barrel, either a shotgun or rifle, one or the other. And they go out on the road, and the next scene, they got a hide rolled up with the hair to the inside and the flesh to the outside.
Right.
So they done already got another one. There's two they done got.
Yeah.
and I don't know, there's two on film that you can see.
Yeah. Well, how many of those films do you have?
I have a number of them.
Huh?
I've got, well, they come in sections, but if you put them all together, I got the Patterson film and I got that film.
Yeah.
But that film is a combination of several films.
And that's one you got from Mrs. Patterson?
No, this didn't come from Miss Patterson.
I thought y'all got some things from Mrs.
Well,
Patterson.
we did, but this came from somewhere else.
Oh.
The Canadians was down here running that operation.
Up there at Buff Creek?
Yeah, they were. John Green was running that thing.
Huh.
You can see him on there. You can tell who the boss is just looking at him.
Yeah.
That's plenty on that film to see.
Yeah.
You can tell just about what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's all you can see, a stack of logs, piled up real high. You're at a logger's landing, because that's where they stack them up like that.
Yeah.
And you can see a red Jeep down in the where they done drove in there.
Yeah.
And they got that dog, and they got 4 or 5 other guys. I know their name. One of them is a school teacher from around that area, named Buttram.
Buttram?
Yeah. You know him?
No. I know some Buttrams, but they're from, I don't know, Fortville, Bakerville.
Yeah, this is from he ended up going to Alaska. And I think Ivan Marks ended up going to Alaska.
Well, Ivan Marks went up there for Walt Disney and made that documentary, Legend of Bigfoot.
Yeah, I think it's where he made it at. Yeah.
A lot of. Well, he at one time, other than that, he worked for like I was, but I didn't know him. See, when I did the bear hunting for the states and stuff, I was a U.S. hunter. I worked for the U.S. fishing game, not the state fishing game.
Yeah.
But my bosses, not my bosses, my advisors, what they said, they were out of Clovis, California. And his name was Oliver. And they said, but I never did know Ivan, but Ivan told me that, and he was up on McNeil Island, and in this film, Legend of Bigfoot, it showed him up there. And the rifle I've got, though, the thing of it is, he tells me, we're watching this film and everything, The Legend of Bigfoot, and he says, now that rifle, he's coming out of a tent. He said, that rifle is the rifle I've got now. And then he told me, when he gave it to me, he said, this is the rifle that killed the 5 or 6 big things, what he called, and the rifle I had on McNeil Island. So, I don't know really when or where or what time, what year he did the film of Legend of Bigfoot. It's quite a movie.
I can find out. I can find out. It's on the internet. You can find out.
Yeah. But it's,
Well, that's interesting as it can be. You and I both know, that old female Bigfoot didn't just walk out in front of them like that.
No.
So,
there had to be others around there.
Yeah, and right, there had to be others too. And somewhere down there, if a fella was exercise diligence, he could probably find where they're at.
Yeah.
That's the case.
Well, the only thing I wish I could, hindsight's better than foresight, and I'm in foresight right now. I wish when I found this spot down there, I got off my horse, the other bunch clients had gone on, and I walked out in the bushes there to take a crap. And this land formation was there, and it was lime. I know lime when I see it, you know, and everything. And then when I found out, so everything. But yeah, I wish myself that I'd started investigating them back in the late '60s.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, what year was it that you saw that land formation? Was that
68?
68. So it ain't really been out there that long, then.
Well, the film was made in '67.
That's right.
'68 to next year.
It'd still be kind of fresh, you know.
Well, yeah.
You could see lime.
Oh yeah, it was not piled up, but it was. Well, it looked like where somebody had spread some on the football field, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They didn't grind it in or nothing.
Well, they're probably still sitting right there.
It could be. I mean, I'd have to go. See, what I'm saying is when I was up there 3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago. Anyway, I would say 3 years ago. I went into the area, but I never really found the spot because I didn't want to be looking around to make these guys. That's why I left, because they just keep following me. I don't mean right there on my heels, but out from it, watching me. And no, I'm not going to show you. And I thought to myself, now if I go in here and I fool around and I'm nosy and I show that I've found something, they're liable to come in here tomorrow and start looking, seeing what I found.
And you say that he had Chinese people with him?
Yeah. Bunch had one Chinese or Korean or something like that.
Yeah, you know, there ain't no telling.
I mean, about 5'8", 5'9", about my height. But it was a Chinese. It was a, you know what I mean.
There ain't no telling what's going on there. No telling. They was wanting you to show them where it was.
Yeah, and they the way they acted, the way they talked, everything, they were waiting for me. And that's, you know, I said, how in the world did they know that I was going to be up there? Everything, so.
I don't know.
If I got involved in it like I am now, which, see, my part right now is financial. I'm not really financially able to. But back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, all I would have done went to the bank. See, I had my heavy equipment too. I had my hogs. I hunted for fish and game. Then I had a swimming pool company. I could go into a bank and I borrowed on the bank, the Security Pacific there in Porterville. I could borrow any amount of money on a 90-day note. I'm talking about in thousands of dollars. Because I rebuilt, I didn't do it, I had a shop. And I had a deal, and we'd rebuild equipment, big tractors and this and that, Caterpillars, and we'd take them to the auction.
Yeah.
And then I'd buy at the auction, bring them back, and I had a 90-day note going through this bank there in Porterville. And I could have gone in there at that bank and borrowed $15,000, $20,000 to have made the deal through there to look for them. But I can't now because all those people in the Bank Security Pacific don't exist anymore.
Right. Where was that, a California bank?
In in Porterville.
Well, darn. Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of missed opportunities, but there's always a chance you can go back and make up for lost time, you know?
Well, I hope so. But my thing is, I gotta get the money. Like this, I was saying, I was figuring it today. Well, I figured it's going to cost me about $1,500 for gas, and then I figured about $3,000 to make the round trip. Let's give me money to do this, do that on. Not chase women or not, because I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do nothing like that.
Well, how you gonna get back in there? Because you can't ride a 4-wheeler no more, or your car back in there no more. So, are you up to a walk?
I'm up to a walk. I'm also up to riding a horse and mule.
Well, a horse and mule sounds better than walking.
Yeah. Well, I had 2 good little small burros, but they were just like mules.
Yeah.
Here a while back, one was 48 and the other was 49 inches. Just the sound. I sold them. Burros. I sold these 2 burros for $400 a piece. And the guy came to me to buy them. I had a mule I got $1,500 for, and he was sound. I mean, he was good, but he was slow. But he was sure.
Well, you don't necessarily want to tear the world up down there. You just want to get in there and get out.
Get through.
Yeah. Hey, look here. I'm gonna let.
You don't want something you have to drive stakes to see if he's moving either.
I'm gonna let you go for now. I'm gonna get cleaned up and go to bed. I think I ain't feeling too good.
Okay. Is that storm got you guys down there?
Well, we had some stormy weather last night, but it passed quickly, and we had a cool day today that ended with sunshine.
Yeah, I got up this morning at about 29:30. It's only 40 out here right now.
It's going to be down in the 30s tonight, close to freezing. But that's not bad for this time of year. That's not bad at all.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I was telling you night before last night. I called you and I couldn't get through to you. I was going to tell you about this stuff up there at Willow Creek.
Yeah, man. I tell you what. Ever since I got this iPhone, it's just if you don't get me one time, call me back. Because it's unreliable about ringing. If I'm under this tin roof, it might ring and it might not. Depending on where I am in the house.
Oh, we don't even have a cell phone because it don't work half the time.
Yeah, well, that's the way this one is. Now, it didn't used to be that way when I had my other phone, but this iPhone is like that.
Yeah. Okay, well, listen, I wish you had another way of...
I enjoy talking to you.
From your in-laws?
Do what?
How far are you from your in-laws?
I'm about 10 miles.
Is there any way that I could call them if I can't get through to you for them to let you know I've been calling you?
Yeah, you can. That's a good idea. Let me see if I give you the number.
Okay.
Hold on just a minute. If I can get it on this phone.
I wouldn't pester them, but I could just call you a couple or 3 times, never can get through,
Yeah. Hold on here. Let me see if I can get it, call it up.
Okay.
Let's see your phone. It won't let me do it without hanging up. Oh, hold it. Oh, contacts. Here we go. Now, let me see. Hold on. Okay, let me give you the number.
Okay.
Right, and just tell them you're trying to reach me, and they can call me.
Right, okay. That'd be good.
All right, man.
All right, maybe we can get together,
Yeah, but maybe something will work out here. Anyway, I enjoyed talking to you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. That's a lot of information, and it's puzzling. He sometimes tells it in the first person, sometimes the third person, sometimes as something he's heard. Sometimes that's something he knows. You just have to kind of just sit and let him talk and be respectful and then try to figure it out. But there's no question in my mind that he's spent a great deal of time down at Bluff Creek. I thank you for your time.